Guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Ailey. Today's video is going to be all about this. Now, I was thinking to myself when I bought this, I was like, nobody's going to be interested in this anymore. I think we're on like the third restock or something like that. I was like, I'm just going to buy it for me. But when it sold out yet again, correct me if I'm wrong, is this like the third or fourth time it's sold out? It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it was brought out at the beginning of the year, around about like Valentine's Day or something like that. I can't really remember. But this palette just can't stay in stock. It can't stay on the shelves. It can't stay online. It is ridiculous. So I thought, well, obviously people are still looking at it. Obviously people are still interested in it. So I thought, fresh perspective. And yeah, I mean, I actually, when I was gonna buy this originally, I ended up buying this. And I think that was on like the second restock. And I don't get me wrong, love this. But at this time of year, I'm sort of limited. And a lot of like bright colours I do like to wear in the summertime. So I say that with pink on my eyelids. okay. But anyway, I think that this one is quite versatile. So you've probably seen this palette a million times. But it comes in like a little sheath like this. Is that the right word? It reminds me of like a videotape cover. This is the palette. Like I say, you've probably seen it a million times. It is probably the bougiest palette I have ever seen in my entire life. It's like fake leather because obviously everything from Jeffree Star is vegan and cruelty free. Yeah, everything, I'm pretty sure. So even down to the packaging, you know, like the leather, it's fake leather and it's got two clasp openings like that. This is like the coolest thing ever. It's a little bit tough to open, I'll say that. You couldn't open it with one hand, but there you go, that is it in there. So it does have a massive mirror on this side and that is the palette there. So there are a lot of different shades in this palette. Now obviously immediately you're drawn to the reds and the purples and the pinks, and that's understandable because they do sort of jump out at you, but the whole top row is neutral. The middle row to the middle of the middle row is still neutral. And then you go into your colours and then you go back to sort of neutral dark purples. So it's not as scary a palette as you would think. I did take a photo of swatches I did on my arm, which I'll insert here just now for you so you can have a look at it, because I'm not going to swatch this whole palette for you. They're all the swatches there, and to be honest, this palette does swatch beautifully. I will grab a couple of shades. So I'm going to grab Cavity, which is on my eyelid, Root Canal, which is also on my eyes today. I'll grab one that's not. I'll grab Fresh Meat, and we'll go for Donor, so we'll have a shimmer. So this is my arm, these are my fingers. Swatch number one is Cavity, then you've got Root Canal, then you've got Fresh Meat, and then you've got Donor. So I mean, there is a little bit of kick up with these, just because you get so much when you dip your fingers in. I didn't add any more there, to be honest. There's tons still left on my finger. I could probably do, there you go, I could do more swatches. They're not the best swatches, but that's without adding any extra. So I've done that and then added that. So that's just to give you an idea of what it looks like. The swatches, like I did on my arm, were one swatch, so they are very pigmented. Now, though I don't think that that is telling of what a palette is going to be like, I do think it is telling of the colour payoff, like the pigment. So it'll show you if a colour will need to be layered, it'll show you if a colour is the same as it is in the pan, stuff like that. So there is some merit to swatches, but looking at swatches and saying, yeah, it's going to mean it acts great on the eyelid, that's just not the case. All of the ones I've tried in this palette so far have been amazing. I have used sugarcane, glucose, well, from right to left, top to bottom. I've used glucose, sugarcane, cake mix, ouch, intravenous, candy floss, tongue pop, sweetener, Cavity, Root Canal, and coma right at the bottom. So I haven't really dived into the bottom row. I know that's not really very helpful when I'm looking down and not showing it to you, but it's really difficult to hold up. So I've used pretty much all but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All but 5 of the shades. So I think I've got a pretty good understanding of how it works. I've done a couple of tutorials with this already, one of which isn't up yet. The other one I will link up here for you. That one's a wee bit more on the neutral side, so you can see that this palette isn't quite as scary as it initially looks. And I have to say I'm absolutely in love. I mean, there's nothing bad I can say about this palette. Maybe it could have done with a really, really light shimmery shade, but I do like glucose, so I wouldn't have liked to lose that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one of the purples could have gone, like one of the darker purples or something like that, but that's the only thing that I would say, because I've got candy floss on my inner corners just now and it is a little bit dark, and then glucose is just a little bit white. But if you mix it in with another colour like I have on my brow bone just now, it does actually work really nicely. But I am missing that inner corner highlight. But at the end of the day, my highlight that I'm using on my face I can always put on my inner corners, so it's not really like a massive thing. I would quite happily take this away with me and be quite happy that I could kind of cater to any occasion. If I wanted to go really bold, I could go really bold. If I wanted to go really neutral, I could stay really neutral. And to be honest, it's such a kind of sturdy and beautiful palette. Even the closure on it, you can tell that it's closed really tight, and it's so sturdy. I can't imagine, even if you put this in a bag and sent it through the post, I think that it would survive. It might have a couple of dings, but I think that the shadows would survive. I think that he's done an absolutely amazing job on this, and I would even say, even only after having this for what, a week, this is my favourite palette of 2018. Big bold claim, I haven't bought a massive amount of palettes this year, but I can't see myself reaching for another palette for a little while. I know that I always go back to the Jaclyn Hill palette. It's probably like my favourite palette of all time. Like for kind of general everyday. But for formula wise, for colour wise, for the way they blend, for the fact that it's just so effortless and you can go from this sort of look to my other sort of look that I did in the same palette, I think, in my opinion, this is the palette of 2018, and if you can get your hands on it, even for somebody for Christmas or for yourself for Christmas, I would say you have to go out and buy this palette. It is like $52 or something like that, so it's £46 just now, but I definitely think it's worth the £46. There are 18 eyeshadows in this palette and it retails for £46. Now that's £2.55 a pan. Who does that? I mean, that's actually really, really reasonable, and I doubt that if you ever came out with single shadows that they would be that price. So you're paying that, and that's not only that, you've got all the packaging and this bougie packaging and all that to pay for. So it's probably closer to like £1.50 a shadow. You know, it's absolutely, the price is quite incredible actually. And obviously it doesn't compare to a Morphe palette, which is like £22 for 35 shadows, but they are bigger pans, and like I said, the formula is fantastic. So I think I've exhausted everything that I've said in this about the palette. So here I'll just go into the demo. I'll probably flash it up on the screen somewhere, that or it will be covering my face right now. But as you can see, I use Cavity on my eyelid, and this is straight over a primer that I didn't set, so it is sticking really nicely. Be careful, because as you'll probably see, I don't know if I'll leave it in, I did get a little tiny bit of fallout, but it was purely because I dipped too hard into the shadow. You really don't have to dip that hard into the shadow. It kind of comes off really nicely, and this little brush that I used, which is the JH41 from Morphe, it's amazing for packing on shadow. It just picks up so much onto the brush. Then I go in with Root Canal, which is, it looks really dark purple in the pan, but it's actually, it blends into that pink really, really nicely, and I used that in my crease and it just blended out really, really nicely. Like I say, it's on a tacky base again. Then I went in with Coma and deepened it all up a little bit, just where the join of the two colours is happening. And then I ended up using Candy Floss in my inner corner. I put all the shadows from the top on the bottom as well, just being careful not to pull that dark shadow too low. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's, as you can see from the clips, it applies so nicely. It just goes on so well, and these colours are not easy to formulate, so big kind of credit to them for doing that. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I mean, the proof is kind of in the pudding. If you've been thinking about getting this palette, then I would definitely say it's worth the splurge. Yeah, I think that is finally it. I'm going to stop talking now. I just wanted to put out my opinion on the palette. So I hope that it was somewhat helpful. Like I said, I just wanted to share my opinion on it. For somebody who's held off on this palette, I'm glad I finally took the plunge and got it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, obviously I would love if you would give give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!